Antebellum women's rights during the 1800s. Prior to the 1800s, women were confined by social expectations of others. The majority of them were expected to be obedient and subservient to men. As a result, their lifestyles were limited. Women were mainly housewives, mothers, etc. As time progressed, women realized they were not happy with their lives. With the rise of the Second Great Awakening, religious fervor strengthened women's beliefs that God made everyone equal. The abolitionist movement also made women question why slaves were being granted freedom while females were still subordinate to men. The lack of freedom in the social and political world caused women to fight for their rights. The subject of women's rights first arose in the Seneca Falls Convention in 1848. This was the first women's rights convention in American history. Some important figures involved in the women's rights movement included the Courney sisters, Susan B. Anthony, and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. The Courney sisters were the first public speakers who sparked the thought of equality of both men and women. Their speeches were highly controversial at the time and were attacked by men. Susan B. Anthony had extensive campaigns for women's rights, which shook the world. Elizabeth Cady Stanton contributed to the movement with her writings and works which questioned the current social systems at the time. She and Susan B. Anthony worked closely together. Positive changes occurred as a result of the antebellum women's rights movement. Women became more aware of their social status and strived to change it. They took a more active role in politics and society, and numerous women became employed instead of staying inside their homes. However, social tensions increased between men and women as men viewed the change as a threat to their lives and society. Politics were impacted by the antebellum women's rights movement because more and more females pushed for involvement in politics. This developed into a desire to become further involved in politics. Women wanted a right to vote. Prior to the 1800s, women were not allowed an education. However, in the women's rights movement, they fought for their right to receive equal schooling opportunities. The temperance movement was a futile attempt to ban the consumption of alcohol. Women were upset about the intoxication of their counterparts. As a result, many women were abused by their spouses. This stirred up the desire for rights. They didn't feel they deserved to be mistreated. Women questioned why the slaves were fighting for freedom, where women were not. This gave women the courage to stand up for what they believed in.